this concept of Van Neumann thing has not come so easily. It has got a lot of evolution. You can see from this now. In fact, earlier days of computing, though we say actually it started in 1950s or so like that, but even much prior to that actually in developing of number system and using of them and using of all the series, using of mathematics have come into existence long before. The very early days of computing as a machine, as an unit to do some sort of computers, communication and you use for computing certain things can be seen in the year in the year 300 BC itself actually. One is called as abacus machine, which is very well known to all of you. Maybe you can make it out. So next actually you have the very early device which you can see from this particular picture by Charles Babbage in 1822. He has come out with a computing machine, and he has come out with a steam driven machine, not an electronically made actually. It is not an electrically made, it is on a steam driven machine for number tables to do some sort of computation in the year 1822. So almost 150 years before actually this Charles Babbage came out with some sort of calculating machine. So you can call the first the thing which started creating a spark to make computers maybe in the year 1822. It is not 150 years, it is almost 200 years. I mentioned 150 years, sir. Now it is almost 200 years before this Charles Babbage came out with steam driven machine for developing this. So after that actually you have here 1890 actually they used this punched card machines to make this, and in 1890 itself actually they have saved by $5 million in the $5 million in that specific years in the form of giving the inputs to the machine, in the form of computing the things. And in 1890 itself actually IBM computers, what you call in today's world IBM, that company established in 1890 itself actually. In fact, for the modern machine you can call the Turing machine, he is a British scientist actually. In 1936 he just gave a possibility of coming out with a device which can be called as a general purpose kind of thing, not necessarily only for calculation purpose. You can come out with a machine which can be made as a general purpose machine. He is the one who given the idea in 1936 or so like that actually. So in 1941 actually the computers are designed by a Bulgarian American physicist. He actually come out with a machine to solve 29 equations simultaneously. So this is another invention in 1941. So you should imagine that actually when nothing was there actually all these things are looking so bright, they are extraordinary. In today's context everything is available, it looks very very odd in today's context, but in 1941 almost some 80 years before that itself is amazing investment, amazing technology being being developed. All right. In 1943-44 actually they came out with a first generation computer called as a ENIAC machine, almost in 1943, but you should imagine now it is filled up with a 20 by 40. I mean you can consider the 2 times the size of this particular room. They have used 18,000 vacuum tubes to come out with this machine called as a ENIAC machine in 1943. So in 1946 the same team actually came out with a UNIVAC design. We can make out actually how does this actually. There were no output devices like a monitor were there actually. Only output is to come through the printouts, maybe some sort of display, say maybe some sort of LEDs like this, they maybe some sort of lights. They used to make it up in 1946 or so like that. Okay. In 1947 actually the Bell Laboratory invented a transistor, replacing these valves. they came out with a transistor in 1947. That itself is the big revolution. What all you use today as a transistor, so it being developed in 1947, that itself is it has given a major breakthrough. In fact, later they came out with a language called COBOL. When we were students, actually we were studying this COBOL as one of the major language for most of the database applications, commercial applications, front-end applications like that actually. And of course, in our generation, we used to have this Fortran as like how we are now studying C, Python kind of programming language like that. The Fortran was very, very popular and invented in 1954, and most of the scientific applications, they used to have this as one of the standard programming languages. All right. So in 1958, they developed a computer chip. You can make out from this actually a small chip is being, now integration of transistor started and it became something like this. All right. So in 1964, small modern computer, what you call it as what you are seeing, this mouse and GUI kind of thing, started picking up in 1964 to make certain input operations. All right. In 1969 is the major landmark when Unix have been developed. Till 1980s, 90s, all this Microsoft operating system on a standalone machine was not there. It used to be only with the multi-purpose mainframe computing machine kind of thing. Actually, the operating system used to be Unix operating system. Still, it is very popular, and what you call as a Linux is actually the evolved version of this Unix. Unix is a trademark of this Bell, whereas this Linux is basically for the open source kind of thing. You can consider like that actually. It is being evolved based on the Unix operating system only by the Bell Laboratory in 1960. So this is the major landmark in the operating system. In 1970 actually DRAM chip was introduced by Intel actually. By the time Intel came into existence and they came out with some sort of memory being introduced in the form of a chip. So and in 1971 actually IBM floppy being introduced. It means till then the computing device means only one device and you need to carry out the output or whatever it is. Later only after this 1971 when they invented this floppy device which you can put it to the machine and you can copy it and go to other machine, like how you are doing it a pen drive. Now in today's context, in a very similar way, there used to be a floppy drives. So keep in this machine and copy it and take it to other machine. So portability started in 1971. So till then the computation means actually there is a machine, you do the computation, take the output there itself, not to be transferred. Only after this floppy disk invention in 1971, so it started moving from one computer to another computer. So this itself is a landmark development. All right. Okay. In 1973, Xerox came out with an Ethernet actually. Instead of this floppy devices wherein which you require physically to do the data movement, pen drive you have to put it here and take it out and put this in another machine. Floppy disk, you put this here and take this in another machine. Instead, can I connect wire continuously and do the communication without this human intervention? This requires human intervention. You have to plug in, you have to plug out. Whereas Ethernet, wherein which the communication between devices can happen by itself. So that is what actually they started in 1973 by a company called Xerox. See, these are all the real landmark development which are made in today's computers that you can see in a small mobile itself actually. 1974 to 77 actually the personal computer started coming into existence somewhere near 77. In 1975 actually this person Bill Gates actually came out with writing out a small operating system for a machine by using a program basic language actually. and he was very much successful in making out with this. In today, he is the richest man in the earth. It is only because of the operating system that he has developed for large number of users which are there all over the world. And of course, subsequently in 1976, I think you know Steve Jobs actually came out with an idea, alternative to Microsoft. They wanted to come out with the hardware integrated software by using a company called Apple, which is very popular in today's context. Apple developed a single chip hardboard computer where in which it is everything is available. The motherboard, that what you call it as, it came out with in 1976. All right. In 1977, actually Apple II was launched with a display device, something like this. Actually, this is another landmark which came in 1978. Actually, they came out with WordStar. This WordStar used to be like this. Actually, I was using this type of thing when we were doing our engineering projects. In 1978, actually, this kind of display unit used to be there, and the typing of some reports used to be there in this fashion by using a software called WordStar. In 1979, actually, VisiCalc, so like this, actually they started using this Excel as a spreadsheet. Started coming out with a new way of coming out with the softwares. So in 1981, actually, the first IBM personal computer, you can call this is now desktop machines, laptop machines, all those things, just during in 1981 itself, actually. So this kind of desktop came into existence. The first laptop, actually this is the first laptop. In fact, this has got a portability. So they came out with a device where you can just port it, take it out. So this was an early generation laptop, which came out by Apple actually. Microsoft announced Windows as a new operating system somewhere near in 1980s or so. I was doing engineering by that time. During that time, actually, the operating system used to come with 30 floppy disks. So to install operating system called Windows, you have to insert 30 times and read it, load it to the hard disk. So that's how it used to be there. So Microsoft announced a Windows as a operating system. So what you call today to Windows 11 or so, actually the very first actually came in 1980s or so, like that. The Compaq came out with Desk Pro by using 80386 as a standard machine, actually by using 32-bit architecture somewhere near 1986 or so, 87, 88, like that actually. In India also this 80386, 286 machines were there. In 1990, invented World Wide Web actually. Now the focus is now more shifted towards software. In 1990, actually they came out with the World Wide Web and HTML that you are using for the purpose of your website, etc. and all. In 1993, they came out with a Pentium processor, which actually drifted the technology, bringing from bigger machines to smaller machine. So only in 1993, when the Intel started coming out with a processor called as a Pentium. So earlier they were using this 80286, 386 kind of processor. So in 1994, PC games actually started coming into existence. So when you call this machine can be used for gaming also, people started thinking that this, if game can be played, this can be used for any sort of applications like that actually. So in 1996, they came out with Google, the first Google that now in today, for anything, the first thing that even a small kid trying to do something in the Google, it came into existence in 1996. Okay. And in 1999, what you are using this Wi-Fi. Interestingly, I will tell you in the later days, the Wi-Fi, the invention has been given by an Indian physicist. 2001, actually, Apple introduced with a Mac operating system. Mac has come out with a new operating system by itself, and now operating system has evolved in many ways. And 2003, actually, the first 64-bit processor by using another parallel company compared to Intel. Till then, actually, only Intel was dominating. Now, AMD came out with an alternative processor, 64-bit processor, publicly called as Athlon. So that is being used in most of the computers where the cost is the factor. All right. Okay. So in 2004, actually, you have this Mozilla Firefox. So later, it's all only on the software development. Mozilla came out, that YouTube came. YouTube came in 2005. Now, how many videos which are there in YouTube? It is unimaginable actually. If a person now, how many number of videos which are there in today? If you would like to see all videos which are there as on today, putting a full stop, I mean no more videos are being added. If you would like to see all the videos, at least you have to live 10,000 years. You have to live 10,000 years to see all the videos 24 hours. So that much amount of video has been reposited in the YouTube. So that is amazing technology that you can see. And in 2006 actually, Apple came out with a MacBook that you are seeing now in this posh fashion. 2007 actually, Apple released iPhone, which is as a smartphone, which now you are using this Apple as a popular handheld device. In 2009 actually, Microsoft launched Windows 7, which user can pin application to the taskbar. So till then actually you can, it was just single applications. Now you can have multiple applications being driven. In 2010 actually Apple launched iPad. Of course now in a small tablet kind of thing you can have this. In 2011 Google introduced Chromebook as a device by itself. And in 2015 Apple released the Apple Watch, in a device which you can connect it through the Bluetooth, and you can connect the machine with a device which you can have it in your wrist. In 2021, of course, the latest thing is actually they have released Microsoft Windows 11 being released, and most of the people are trying to use this, and lot of artificial intelligence have been incorporated in 2021 released Windows 11 like this. Now you can see there is a sea change. Why people are so fascinated about computers? The reason is something like this actually. If you really look at the mechanical engine has not changed any changes since 30-40 years. It is fully optimized. No changes can happen. For example, the car design, entire car design, it is more or less it is finished. Only the aesthetics, the new gadget that you are connecting, the way look and feel of the car is only different. The mechanical part of the car, more or less it is optimized. Whereas computers are not so. Since the day one, 1950s or so, till today, every day you see the changes. It is only because everybody wants to use this computer as a tool. So apart from knowing the changes which are happened since so many years, you will be also knowing certain definitions which are there in the very first class itself, actually called as supercomputers. Supercomputers are developed recently for computing large applications like weather forecasting. You would like to know about weather forecasting, or to store say for example YouTube needs to give rendering for so many people at a time. So therefore, 1 lakh subscribers can be delivered at a time. So therefore, they try to go with a supercomputer, something like that actually. So you have your mainframe computers, which are basically meant for little lower applications compared to this, and mainframe computers are equally capable of communicating with so many users at a time. You have your mini computers which are basically used in most of the laboratories. In your college also you have a servers, and of course you have a web server which cater to the needs of around 100 people in our college laboratory. So that can be called as a mainframe, can be considered as a mini computers. Whereas you have your microcomputers which are there independent, it can operate by itself by using a local operating system. In all this actually you have operating system being running there. The users do not have any such of intelligence there. Whereas in case of microcomputers, another classification wherein which you have the computation can be done at the local machine. So like you have your laptops, desktops, Apple iMacs, smartphones, tablet, etc. and all can be considered as microcomputers. There is a topic in your syllabus called applications of computers. I am not telling anything about these applications of computers. The reason is very simple. Every part of the world in today's context uses computers. So that's why applications, I cannot just list it out. It is used in the biometric applications. This is used in hospital. This is used in banks. This is used in transport office. This is used in signal. This is used. I cannot just list out. Now, day may come wherein which you should tell me where computers are not used. They are not used in churches. They are not used in temples. They are not used in mosques. You have to just write only some exceptions, certain cases. Otherwise, computers are used everywhere. So therefore, I need not have to give elaborations on this. But when we are looking at the evolution, you can see the first generation. We are trying to divide this into 5 generations basically. Of course, no specific kind of barring on on which year to be called as a first generation, second generation. It is an approximation, because earlier days we used to have this ENIAC machines, the first generation 1942 to 55. We used to have valves as one of the major device which can be used to do the shifting. Later in second generation, the major development which has happened, you can call from 1955 to 1964, we have seen a lot of developments. IBM 730, Honeywell 400, CDC 1604. These are some of the machines being developed during 1955 to 1964, can be called as a second generation computers. So wherein which in all this actually they use this transistors. The third generation, you can call this is developed between 1965 to 75, can be called as third generation, wherein which the Fortran, COBOL I mentioned to you, these programming languages are basically used as the tool. And fourth generation, you can call it as from 1976 to 1989, IBM PCs. So integrated circuits, VLSI technology being developed to develop for the purpose of motherboards, applications, communication, etc. and all. The fifth generation can be considered from 1990 till date. All sort of generation, all sort of development which are happened in computer technology can be considered from 1992 to till date as a fifth generation. In fact, exponential growth in the technology, exponential growth in the software, exponential growth in the applications. Wherever you cannot fit in, people started using computers for all these applications. So therefore, applications have become plenty, and all sort of applications are being addressed by the computers. So you can call this is the god of technology, because now even if one moment, if the entire internet is down, the whole world stops working. The whole world, the communication is not there means actually the whole world stops. It means we are now totally dependent on computers, communication, devices. So to such an extent we have reached, and you cannot really escape out of this. You cannot just go back 70 years and start doing that. So now we have reached a stage wherein which everywhere we have to use, and we have to go find the new applications, new way of solving, new way of looking into the intelligence being added to the machines in the form of AI, machine learning. I am expecting machine to do all the things like very typical to human system, like how I am doing it so quickly. So in a very similar way, I want the machine to do that. So all these things are the fascinating things that you can see in the fifth generation. All right. So I'll just close at this moment. Today, in the introduction class, I told you about the objectives of this syllabus. This particular subject, it has got 4 objectives. Then I told you what is there in the first module, second module, third module, fourth module, fifth module of the syllabus. And I told you the evolution of computers, stored program concept, stored program, very similar to human being. How exactly I do as per the stored instructions which are already been given there, in a very similar way, some stored program. When you call it a stored program, the program needs to be written by you. You need to write program to the machine, and once you write the program, that becomes a permanent. That becomes a permanent in the machine. So you can start using this. See, like how I have learned this means A, you can use it till you die in a very similar way. Once you write a program to the machine, so as long as this program is there, you can start using this. So that is why you need to know about the stored program concept, which is developed by Van Neumann. And after that, we have seen the evolution from 1940s to till today, some sort of development in the hardware, some sort of development in the software. And after that, we have seen different types of computers, different generations we have seen. In next class, I will be explaining about input-output device, which are very popular, like monitors, keyboard, mouse. It is not only, my objective is not only to tell you what is keyboard. Even the small kid would have seen this is a keyboard. But my objective is to tell how exactly this gets communicated to the device. Because when you type something, something should happen in the machine. How does this happen? When you move the mouse, something should happen on the machine. How does this happen? So that is the fascinating, IO devices. And after that, we'll see a little bit of C programming, which is there as a part of the syllabus. So thank you very much. We'll see you in the next class.